Good afternoon, guys. We're going to be going over our documentation for a claim file today, how to properly document a claim file up to Liberty Mutual standards. What you're going to see here is this is a mock-up claim completed in the RCS system, and not all the aspects of this claim are true and factual, but we put them into the claim so that we can show you as many aspects of proper documentation as proper. We're going to dive right in. First things first, when you come to your first notice of loss screen, you want to make sure you have the insured's date of birth, their name, and the loss description. And you also want to make sure that you have the correct dating in here and the state information. These are critical pieces of information along with the report date that the claim was reported in order to receive all your points in regards to your scoring when I go over your claims and look at your claims. These are the proper documentation things I'm going to be looking for. Moving right along, when you come to your coverage log, you want to make sure that your coverage log is concise. Okay, as we go through this presentation, you will see on the left side, I've prepared a Cliff Notes version of everything that I'm going to be looking for, and on the right side, a completed claim that I actually completed for you and went through and put all the proper documentation that I'm going to be looking for. You also will get a copy of this PowerPoint presentation sent to you via email, guys, in order to review it further at your desk in greater detail. This is going to be a summary of what I'm expecting. If you have questions, please see me or your unit leader at any time, and I will be happy to go over this with you so that you can understand the information that I'm looking for. Okay? Back to the presentation here, you're going to see I put all the proper information in here in regards to their symbols, their endorsements, their lien holder information, all their policy information, driver information. These are things I'm looking for when I'm looking at your files to make sure that you put them in the file. If you do not put them in the file, you can be marked off if it's not information that's in the file that was needed. You also must have an affirmative statement in your documentation. It is required on all claim files at this point for you to have a proper affirmative statement. If you don't know what a proper affirmative statement is, please see me or see your manager, and I will go over it again with you. Okay, but that was in your initial training. Okay, moving right along, you'll see here at the very start of the claim, I made sure that our state compliance was correct, our same-day contact standards were met, our agent standards were met, our risk report standards are met, and our plan of action. You guys all know what these things are in regards to your plan of action, your risk reporting, and if I don't see them in your claim file, that is something that corporate is looking at to make sure it's in there. You need the proper claim information in there in regards to the plan of action on how you're going to bring the claim to conclusion. That is just a synopsis or a syllabus, if you will, of what is expected in the claim to bring that to a conclusion. And the risk report is the same thing. We want to make sure we're sending out a risk report to the underwriting team if we have a problem with an insured in regards to a claim, if they're not cooperating, if they did not tell us the proper information. We want to send a risk report to underwriting so when it's time for that insured to renew, we look at them closely to make sure we actually want to renew that person. Okay? When you talk to an insured, I need to make sure that there's a recorded statement in the file. That is something I'm looking to see that is documented in your claim file. That you offered our direct repair program, which is short for one of our acronyms or synonyms for DRP shops. Also, you're going to be looking for meaningful contact. Did we actually speak with the insured and not just speak with them and say, hey, I got your claim and I'm going to be your adjuster, but did you offer them a rental if it was needed? Did you get their vehicle inspected on the first phone call? Did you actually go over the claim process with them? This is called proper documentation in regards to meaningful contact. Following up with the insured or the claimant. We all know what a claimant is. A claimant is the other party that was in the accident, and the insured is the person that we actually insure. So you want to make sure you're doing the exact same thing with the claimant here, and you'll see dates and times documented. I'm looking for that information. And this is just, again, I'm reaffirming here at the bottom, down here in the yellow section, that I'm looking for recorded statements. Okay. Also here, you'll see I'm just going over again in regards to claimants, in regards to DRP shops, and doing the same thing that we would do with our insured, with our claimant, the other party that was in the accident. And oftentimes, better documentation will make the claim flow better, and that was just an idea that I put down here for you guys just to think about. Better documentation will make you a better adjuster, I guarantee it, okay guys? Better documentation will make you a better adjuster. I can't say it enough, and that's why I repeated it. Okay, making sure that we're getting all the proper claimant information in regards to their carrier, making sure we're continuously updating our action plan, making sure we're explaining the claim rental process and payments and settlement offers to our insured drivers and to the claimant drivers. Very important information. I can't stress that enough. We have to explain these settlements to them because they don't do this every day like we do. And so you want to make sure you're very thorough in your settlement documentation, and putting that in the claim file is very important because if they call back and there's a problem, I or anyone else that answers the phone can certainly go in and look and see exactly what you told them. And if it's not in there, guys, I will have to mark you off, okay? So I'm trying to get you guys into a better mentality to realize the things that I'm really looking for in regards to your proper claim documentation and upholding Liberty Mutual standards. Rental formula is another thing here. Like I just gave you a thought, and your score will drop to an 87% if you don't properly document your rental formula. Just something to think about. Okay, making sure we're following up with our field appraisers, keeping our claimants and our insurers advised, and a liability analysis. Everyone knows what that is at this point, at least because this is advanced documentation training. Your liability analysis is basically a synopsis of what you actually thought happened in the claim in regards to our liability. Explaining that, so I know you put our insured 70% at fault, you put the other part at 30% at fault, and that's why you did it. And I need that documented thoroughly in the claim process. And making sure that we're documenting our police report information. Okay, the little tip I put down here, whenever the adjuster speaks, they put their person's name, telephone number in the claim file that they spoke with, and that just makes it better for when someone else has to come behind you. I'm looking for that so that we all can know who we spoke with if you're not here, okay? Making sure we verify our Texas information, claimant information, lien holder information, modify our liability decision. If you modify it, document it. Rental formulas, again, making sure we're following up on rentals, looking for that documentation. And notice how we keep updating our action plan. That's because every time we get in the claim file, I want to see how you're bringing the claim to conclusion. That needs to be properly documented. And remember to follow your state guidelines, guys, because it is unethical for us not to follow those state guidelines. And the state is going to be looking at us, and we can be heavily fined if those guidelines are not followed to the key and to the letter. And I'm going to be looking for it because Liberty Mutual, you know, we go as a responsibility-oriented company, and we want to make sure that we're following all the guidelines put in place by the state and by the federal government. At the end of the claim here, you want to make sure that you have your subrogation information. Everyone in this room knows what subrogation is. It is in regards to actually making sure that the subrole has been sent over. Our subrogation department will then try to retrieve the money from the other party for us. That's what subrogation does. So when your claim is done, you send it over to them. They'll try to get our money back, if possible. Making sure we're sending out our closing letters. I need to see that properly documented in the claim file. And a closing analysis, okay? It's not necessarily required that you do a closing analysis, but I recommend it highly because with the closing analysis, what it's going to do is it's going to allow you to tie everything in a nice bow at the end of the day. Closing analysis are not required, however, I strongly recommend it again because it'll make sure that you don't miss anything, okay? And I'm going to be looking to see, I'll give extra points for people that are actually doing that. Okay. Let's go over a quick review here, guys. And what I want you to see here is documentation is the key. State compliance is non-negotiable. You must have a solid coverage log. Remember to update your plan of action or your POA. Your rental management and documentation can make or break your scoring. Okay. Diary management will make you a better adjuster. I want you to keep that in your mind at all times. If your diarying the file out for the appropriate time to keep following up with that person, it'll make you better at this documentation. Okay. Liability is a big issue, making sure we're liability is thoroughly documented, in regards to recorded statements. SIU investigation, police reports, you guys know all this stuff already. Reserves need to be documented. Follow your UL's notes is required, okay? If your unit leader or your manager, or if you want to call them, puts a note in the file, you must follow